All right, Dima Mixon here with the Pine Belt News, joined by Glyn Dyar as always. Glyn, we are not in the Rock, or we might be. This might be a secret room of the Rock. Who
The
knows?
air conditioning's a lot better.
The air conditioning is a lot better. That's right. We tried to get a video on Tuesday, but the interviews went a little long, and you know us. We had to get to lunch. Lunch is bigger than the videos on the field, but no, we still wanted to get a video out to y'all, so we decided to do it on Zoom. So this is our Thursday video, and it's Glenn. We're about 48 hours ish, a little over 48 hours before the Golden Eagles take the field against Louisiana Tech Bulldogs. We've had a week to kind of dive into this Louisiana Tech team, and the first thing that I've noticed is they're very run heavy. They're not gonna dice you up with their passing game, but really the story of the team right now is the defense. 12 points a game that they've allowed. Just 19 yards. Is that right? 19? No. So 220 yards passing per game, and then 93 yards rushing per game. This defense for Louisiana Tech, 3-3-5 defense. First thoughts on the Bulldogs.
Yeah, that defense, that 3-3-5 is kind of a different animal. We faced it, I think, once last year with ODU, and I remember talking to the staff back then. They were talking about, it's kind of like death by a thousand cuts. They make you extend drives, play after play after play. You have to be patient. You can't just try to force balls into tight windows. That's how Tech's gotten a lot of. I think they have 5 interceptions already at this point. Um, you know, turnover margin on the plus side, that's huge for victories. So that's been a big thing for them. So you're gonna have to be patient, and if you can run the ball, it's a great equalizer. So maybe you can get some of those safeties to come down into that box, and then maybe you can get your pass game going a little bit. But running would do wonders for Braylon and that the passing game.
This seems like to me, Glenn, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but this seems like a game where Braylon's ability with his legs is going to be crucial and something that we really haven't seen from Southern Miss, at least in the first three games. We saw it a little bit, I think, against App State. If I'm looking right here, player stats um, on the ground for Braylon Braxton right now, 137 yards rushing so far. So I feel like he can do better than that. I don't think they really want him to be that, but 137 yards on the ground. So he's actually second on the team in rushing. But yeah, this feels like a game where his legs could be a really crucial part, but it's felt like to me, Glenn, that they don't really like to make him do a lot of read options.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the case or if they're just saving it, or we'll see. But zone read for him in this game could be big. He played, I think it was they played ODU last year, and we had spoken about that previously. And he was the reason, for the most part, that they won that game. He passed for 3 touchdowns and ran for 140 yards himself. He was the difference maker in a high scoring affair against ODU. So if he can get that going against these guys, obviously it's a different DC and it's a different roster, but he's got the ability with his legs to loosen things up, so to speak, and to open up the passing game a little bit. He hit some vertical shots against ODU last year too, when
Mhm.
they ran like a trips formation on one side of the field, and ODU had to rotate over, and he got a man look on the boundary side. He was able to cash in on some of those man shots. If they give him those man looks this week, they need to win those as well.
Yeah, and something about Louisiana Tech, just for our listeners, they didn't have a great offensive showing against LSU, which of course LSU's LSU, but that was probably their best defensive team that they've played so far. And I think Southern Miss is probably the second best defensive team they're gonna play outside of, I mean, I think Southern Miss is better than Southeastern New Mexico State. Run heavy team that the Bulldogs are. It seems to me, Glenn, that the quarterback throwing the ball over the field doesn't really scare you. And teams have been able to run the ball decently well against Southern Miss, averaging 157 yards a game right now. Feels like Louisiana Tech's strength is one of Southern Miss's defense's weakness right now.
Curious to see we've got two good corners, and we talked to Richard Thursday, so he got dinged up a little bit last Saturday. He's obviously going to be okay. So we got two good corners, and most quarterbacks have been throwing away from Josh Moten to this point. He really hadn't made that statement. We're hoping to see him make it some point. If we're a zone heavy structure in the secondary. But if we decide to man up a little bit more and commit another guy to the box to maybe, to put some more numbers in the box, I think that could be big for us. And I think we've got the corners who could survive one on one because I don't think they're, like you said, a particularly great passing team. I think one of the quarterbacks is a better thrower than the other, but they both have the ability to tuck it and take off with it too.
For sure, for sure. Well, when we look at this game, I said last week, all week last week, that I thought the Appalachian State game was just so big for so many different reasons. It wasn't necessarily as big. It's like it's big because it's a conference game, of course, but it's like there were so many like alternating factors of why that game was so big. The progression of the team, the where the whole program stood at that moment. I don't think this game is as important as App State as far as like they just have to win. But I do think it's an important game because if they could win this game, I mean, I really like Southern Miss's chances against Jacksonville State next weekend. So if you could win this game, I mean, you're looking at potentially a 4-1 start, which is crazy when you put that in a sentence. But it does feel, Glenn, that if they could win this game on the road against the Bulldogs, man, I mean, you're looking at 4-1 headed to Georgia Southern with a potential of being 5-1 going to UL.
Yeah, I mean, let's not get ahead of ourselves, Demo. But yeah, it's the next game. There's some cool little underlying stories in this. Obviously, it's your first game on the road. You want to show you can pull that off. You're playing against an opponent who's fixing to be back in your conference.
Yep.
You recruit a lot of the same kids. You want to make that statement. You want to look good on the road. You're going to learn some things about your team against a little different defense where um, they take some things away from you offensively that are in your playbook. I
Hmm.
want to see Blake Anderson. He's been doing this forever. He knows what's going to work and what's not going to work, and what he can get going to manipulate other options for himself. I'm curious to see what he decides to do against them because he has weapons. He has a quarterback who's a great dual threat. He has size outside, and now
Yep.
we shown last week with Doc Chapman. He has speed in the
Yep.
slot. Could this be a game where I've been waiting for Kyron Heath to blow up down the seam for him,
Mhm.
or even Caden Morris for that matter. They really didn't go, they went away from the tight end last week. Did they go back to those two guys down the seam, get behind linebackers? I mean, it's going to be fun to watch. I'm amped to watch it.
Yeah, and that's something that I was going to comment on too. Just kind of at the end, you said you're amped to watch it, and something that Bob Getty on the Eagle Hour, shout out to the Eagle Hour, who he said, I'm actually like can't wait to watch the next game, and it hasn't been that way at Southern Miss for a long time. So, and I hope if you have a chance to get out to Ruston, for our listeners, just try to support the team in ways that you can because it's important. All right, Glenn, let's get into it. Bold predictions here on the video. So we'll start with a bold prediction last week. I think you nailed your bold prediction. If I remember correctly, I think you.
Yardage out of my dude, but I did get the 2 touchdowns.
Okay, 2 touchdowns for Jeffrey Pittman, but he just was a little short on your yardage. But pretty good call there. I was not close on my Josh Moten 2 interceptions, but the Golden Eagles did have 3 interceptions, so I did think that the secondary would shine. So at least I was somewhat right. But let's get into it. Bold predictions. What you got, Glenn?
I got Braylon Braxton. Bold prediction. Let's 100 plus yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground for Braylon Braxton.
How many yards on the ground?
Over 100.
Over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns for Braylon Braxton. All right, pretty bold. And you just think that he's just going to run all over him. What's the reasoning?
I think he's the great equalizer in this game. If they
Yeah.
want to take the run away, create that extra gap for them to account for with his legs.
Mm.
Run some zone read. You know,
Yeah. So mine is actually going to be defensive. Defensive. It's going to be like a team defensive bold prediction. So I predict Southern Miss will hold Louisiana Tech to under 100 yards passing. And the other team to do that was LSU. They had 98 yards passing against the Tigers. So of course, bold. I get it. It's bold, but I just think that they're
it's
not a
bold.
great. Yeah, they're not a great passing team, so I just don't think that they're going to be able to sit back in the pocket and just dice it all over the place against this Golden Eagle secondary. And I don't think anybody on the outside for the Bulldogs really scare me. So I think Louisiana Tech is going to have to take long, methodical drives where they're running the ball, getting it to second and short, maybe some quick tight end throws where they're kind of quick high percentage throws where they're getting 5 or 6 yards. But I don't think they're going to be able to throw the ball well against the defense of Southern Miss. So under 100 yards passing for Louisiana Tech, which I grant that that's bold. Maybe I should say 150 yards, but no, I'm going to stick with 100 yards. But 100 yards passing, under 100 yards passing for Louisiana Tech. All right, let's pick the game. Out there in Ruston, 6:30 kickoff. I believe it's on ESPN Plus. The game is on ESPN Plus. 6:30 kickoff. Louisiana Tech is a 3.5 point favorite. The line has moved down to a 49.5 point total. So, Glenn, let's get your pick.
I'm going to go a little bit past the over, and I'm going to say 31-24 Southern Miss.
Okay. 31-24 Southern Miss, and that would be hitting the over. Southern Miss, of course, getting the points. I see this as a very low scoring game. I have seen it all week as a very low scoring game. I just think that with the way Louisiana Tech runs their offense, they're going to have the ball a lot in this game where the clock, you're going to look up in like the first and second quarter to be like, how in the world are we already at the end of the first quarter? I think it'll be a very fast game. So the opportunities that Southern Miss has on offense, they're going to have to capitalize and they're going to have to be patient, especially if Louisiana Tech, like gets out in front early or something. You're not going to be able to get it all back in one play. But yeah, so I'm going to take Southern Miss 20-17 over Louisiana Tech. I think late turnover by the Golden Eagles seals the deal. But I do think that it's going to be close, and I think Southern Miss is going to need a big game from Braylon Braxton on the ground, kind of like Lynn was saying. So 20-17 over Louisiana Tech. I envision a low scoring game.
One more point that I think
Yeah.
maybe was overlooked last week, last weekend. We were not good on first down.
Mhm.
I think in the first half, I think our average third down was third and 9, almost third and 10. That's tough to survive. They can't do that this week. They need to get. I think even Huff. I think Huff even said, "Let's get that dirty 3 or dirty 4 on first down." You can't be behind the chains because then they can dictate what they do defensively to us. We need to get that 3 or 4 or 5. However you want to get it on first down, that sets you up so much better. Your playbook, and it makes you a little more, less predictable, obviously.
No doubt. All right, so 31-24 from the football expert Glyn Dyar over there. Um, and 20-17 for me, Dima Mixon, the not football expert on the Pine Belt News. But Glenn, you will not be in Ruston this weekend. I will be in Ruston this weekend, so I will do the post-game video on the field by myself without Glenn, unfortunately. But
Get some
uh,
Johnny's Pizza while you're there. It's
there we
excellent.
go. So if you're in Ruston, say hello. If you see me going into the stadium or whatever, I'm not like a scary guy, Glenn. I like to say hello to people.
No, buy Dima a piece of pizza. They
That's
got
right.
Johnny's at the game.
Oh, that would be even better. Glenn, what did you eat for lunch today? I'm just curious.
Lunch. I was at. This will be a plug for the 4th Street Bar and Grill. I
Oh,
went there and I
they did
had a.
not sponsor this video,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
but they do sponsor the Eagle Hour,
That's
and they're
right.
excellent. It's my favorite Southern Miss bar. Slade, White, those guys kill it over there. I had a couple of burgers and a Diet Coke, and I started working on my Coach Ostrander interview, which was excellent.
Great. And Glenn, where can they find your stuff? Go read you.
Go to your computer, type in one word, goldeneaglepride.com, and that'll get you to the front page.
Yep, the front page says football expert Glenn Dyer.
You got to
So
rub it in.
yeah, but you could read my stuff at Pine Belt News. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you. Well, I'll see you in Ruston this weekend. Glenn will see you next Tuesday after, if we were able to get a video next Tuesday, which ran a little long. That's why we couldn't, but we're going to try to get it one each Tuesday, for the most part. We're going to try not to miss them, but we just missed it last week, so that's our fault. But we'll see you next Tuesday in the aftermath of Louisiana Tech Southern Miss. Both of us picking Southern Miss to win. Louisiana Tech the favorite by Vegas. But I'll see you in Ruston. Glenn, enjoy your weekend, man, and thank y'all
Well,
guys for
safe
watching.
travels.